We talked about how close this series had the potential to be heading into it, and we'll get to see that on full display here. Map number 1 as split, 13 to 11, M80 in the end to take it. I mean, Roy, there is so many questions that I personally had going into this, but Sada is doing good. M80, they take their map, and they're going to be up one in the series.
Yeah, I mean, I think they showed us why they picked this map, right? It's been a map that they're extremely dominant on. They took down SRB very cleanly, and they're doing it again versus TSM. But yeah, shout out to Sato. He's finally waking up. He's finally doing the duelist things for this team, and they're looking very clean doing it. Of course, we do have to credit the win to a double pistol win as well for the M80 side. I do wonder how this map would have been different had TSM secured either of those two pistols. But I think that is where the variance of quote-unquote luck, the infamous luck that players talk about very often, this is probably where it's coming in. You have to be able to close out one of these pistols when it comes down to a 13-11. But overall, I do agree with the casters. I think M80 had a very good game plan coming into this.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, looking at M80, being able to see highlights from across the board, and the casters too highlighting like the team play that they had. This is an M80 that I definitely want to be seeing more of, especially on the back of, I mean, a pretty harsh defeat last week.
It's what we talked about, right? It's a team that is not just one player popping off and opening up every single time, especially because we were not seeing that from Sato. But this time around, it was different. It was actually a Sato that had some really cool set plays to open up the round, and then the support of everybody else kind of coming through right after. So it was a cool back and forth. I think on the other side, though, for TSM, they also had some great ideas, but things just got messy when time was running out. I mean, the way that the last round ended was very much anticlimactic. We thought it was going to go overtime. And it was like a lot of those plays after they get past the mid round of, okay, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna organize ourselves? What is the step after? And it was like little things like that that were missing for TSM, because it was very likely that we were gonna go into overtime.
Yeah, so at least you know, like, okay, it was a couple of missteps. This was definitely a very, very winnable map. It feels bad when there's elimination on the line to be down one in the series, but I think a testament, Roy, again, to just how close this is on paper, and the fact that, okay, well, it's going into your next map pick, and like you definitely have the tools in your toolbox to be able to win out this series.
Absolutely. I mean, we've said it so many times, but I think this time we genuinely mean it. This could go in any direction. It's really about which team is closing out the most important rounds. There's very key rounds to win. Whoever wins those rounds will probably come out on top in this series. I don't expect a sweep. And of course, coming back to the scoreboard, Sim versus Sato having a great head-to-head against each other, and of course everybody else on the team popping off, minus recoil. 6 and 17, that's really unlucky. But yeah, it's a very close game. I completely agree. And I think this is going into this next map where it's going to be a very duelist heavy map. There's a lot of contacting, there's a lot of set plays on Fracture, and there's a lot of lanes to challenge. It's going to be an insane one, and whoever's going to be coming more prepped is probably going to come out on top.
I think for me, going into Fracture, there's definitely two people that I'm very much so looking at for the impact, and it's, of course, the two MVPs of this map that we had here on Split, looking at Sato and Sim. This is definitely, Sim's someone we highlight so much on the team, and Sato, even if he wasn't quite at the Sim level for the team, definitely someone that Dan was coming up huge in a lot of these rounds.
Yeah, I like seeing the back and forth. This is the kind of fight that I wanted to see between these two duelists. Sim, a player that we know so well in Challengers NA for such a long time. One of the topics of conversation of, okay, when is this guy going to get picked up for Americas? Because he's just that good, especially at initiating the rounds for TSM. And we saw, I think he had 7 or 8 just now. But for Sato, that was a question that we talked about before we went into this match. Okay, when are we going to be starting to see that Sato that is opening up, that is saving the rounds for the team as well, and he just did exactly that. So I'm happy to see it. This is the Sato that we want to see more of, and the Sato that you're going to need absolutely on Fracture as we go into the second map, because it's going to be both of them on the race on this map of Fracture where you're gonna need those frags a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is also the Sim that we love to see as well. I mean, he's 8 and 7. The first kills, first deaths are almost tied between both of the duelists. Sim, of course, having just a little bit more in first engagements, but that just speaks to the level of aggression that Sim has. He's been that key player for TSM. He's been that player since last year as well, and now he's just continuing the trend. He's the most experienced in terms of raw first engagements. He probably has the most ever in VCL. It feels like almost every single round is him pretty much on TSM side. And I'm going to be expecting that as well for the Fracture side. Now, the only key thing for me personally going into the second map is the fact that it is a 4-quadrant map. There's only so much your duelist can do when your Sentinel, on the other hand, is getting ran down with, reacting based on the early aggression. So it's going to come down to recoil. It's going to come down to the Sentinel players, making sure they can lock it down, making sure they can find gaps within the utility combos that it's so heavily relevant in the Taeho Breach meta.
And looking ahead at the second map of Fracture, when these two teams had gotten to face off in the Swiss stage, this was actually the very first map, and it's one that went into quite a few rounds of overtime, with TSM barely taking that win 16-14 at the end. But Dan, it's also a map that if you're looking at M80's recent history, definitely went a little bit sideways up against the Shopify Rebellion Black there. So TSM, it's been a while. They're feeling confident to pick it up against M80, but is that confidence a little misplaced? Are they underestimating M80 here, or?
I don't know. There's a couple of things to talk about when it comes to this map, right? So like you said, the last time that M80 played this map, it was a 13-1 that they lost against Shopify Rebellion Black. 13-1 is insane, by the way.
Tough.
It's crazy to see, especially in Challengers, where teams are able to at least do a little back and forth. 13-6. It's kind of the result where we expect kind of teams ending up in. But also, last time that these two teams played each other, they played this map. It was a 16-14. And Okeanos was still on the duel list. So we haven't seen this map of Fracture between TSM and M80 with Sado added to the table. So this is something that is going to be new for both of them. The compositions should probably stay the same. I did have my questions about if we're going to continue seeing that Killjoy from Recoil or not. But overall, I think it's kind of those questions of, okay, are we going to continue seeing Sado popping up? Are we going to continue Sim popping up? What is everybody else going to be adding to how different that map of Fracture plays compared to everything else?
I'm definitely intrigued going into this, how M80 is going to adjust considering that 13-1 loss. And I think that the composition they have, this is something that they were running even when they were having Super Sub weeded in before Sado got to join the team. So I think this late in things, it would be a little hard pressed to be switching up what should be a really, really strong comp, Roy. So then it's down to the play and what changes here.
Yeah, honestly, I would not be surprised to just see small changes like a Sentinel swap or a Duelist swap or maybe an Initiator swap. I don't think we're going to see massive overhauls to these compositions. I would not be surprised if we saw just tiny little adjustments just based on, comfortability, just read on the meta. But another thing for us to consider as well is the last time TSM played this, we critiqued their KJ into the Taeho pick quite heavily. But now the nerfs have hit the salvos and they can't really counter the Killjoy ult. We're probably going to see a little bit more value from the KJ kit, something that TSM's experienced running. They've been running the KJ on this map. They didn't really care about the Taeho counter. They've kind of just bashed their head against the wall, and they've secured both times they played Fracture. So I think now they're even in a better spot to challenge this map in the current meta.
Yeah, the fact that we have a lot of aggressive options on this, but it's just looking a smidge weaker, considering those nerfs up against the KJ, TSM aren't necessarily in the position where they might be as forced to be switching that up or even considering it as maybe they would have been a couple weeks ago. But talking about then this TSM comp, this KJ, it definitely has its merits. It definitely has this use. And for TSM, this is a map that they've been looking good on with. So then I'm curious then, Dan, if we exactly are going to see that KJ again today.
But the thing is that they haven't even played this map as much as you think. So it's really weird, but it does seem like it's just one of those maps that they pick because this is TSM's map pick. They're picking it based on what we saw last week for M80, that 13-1 that we talked about where they lost. So it does seem like it's a little bit more that rather than that this team of TSM having enough reps on this map, playing it enough, being comfortable, because the Killjoy absolutely had some issues. Yeah, you can still run it for sure. I mean, they've been doing it and they were kind of getting away with it when it matters the most, but it feels weird. I'm wondering if this is more of a countering map for TSM to play against M80, or is it just maybe in this past couple of weeks they figure out something completely different that they want to play?
Well, I'm excited to hop into the agent select to see if we are going to be seeing switches coming from TSM or either of the teams, considering M80's recent loss and a TSM that's playing something that's a little bit outside the norm considering this point and things. And there is going to be the switch, no more KJ, eyes coming out.
That is really surprising. I feel like Cage is in a much better spot than it was last time. So the fact that they've now swapped to the Vice is pretty interesting. But I think overall, these compositions are not surprising. They're very meta. A mirror matchup, a great way to potentially end the series 2-0 for M80, or perhaps take us to a third map. We'll find out.
And switching things up just that little bit, how are you feeling now heading into this with, of course, elimination on the line for TSM?
Obviously, I like this way more when we get to see the Vice. I feel like it's just one of those opportunities to exploit and to take control more than we had with the Killjoy. That was not working the best against the Tejo, which, I mean, we're seeing both of the teams have. I like the mirror match as well. I feel like it's just fair. It is exactly what we want to see for an elimination map against and between two teams that we saw in Ascension. They're both going to continue being back and forth, and we should be expecting, I feel like, a third map.
It was a map that definitely went the distance, multiple rounds of overtime last time these two faced off on Fracture, but with a recent loss for M80, can they overcome that and close this series out in 2, or can TSM take us to a map number 3? Time to head back over to your casters, Wyatt and Shift, to find out.
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, I think the Death's final evaluation about the switch off the Killjoy raises an eyebrow, but yeah, to Roy's point, I mean, we've seen a lot of teams kind of go to more of this standard approach. I mean, it's just that sheer is so valuable for the defense to gain a little bit of extra time to rotate over through Fracture. So definitely feels merited, even though, like we kind of have heard and had seen the history on, it's been a really solid map for TSM over the course of the group stage.
Yeah, definitely the key heading into this, which was on the little graphic. TSM, they played it twice, 100% win rate. M80, they played it 3 times, 0% win rate.
Yeah.
So heading into this, there is a clear favorite, but perhaps this is when M80 turn things around. They've cleaned this map up. I mean, they've left it in the pool, so that says something to some extent, surely. Maybe it's just false confidence, but listen, it's not their band at the very least, so they must have confidence in some capacity.
Can't get any worse, right? Oh, I guess it could, but
I mean, yeah, if they lose
if
4
they
times,
13-0'd, yeah.
Yeah, it could get worse.
Yeah. Unlikely to be the case, though. TSM on the defense kind of feeling out this attack, which is trying to play passive. Simi will at least get the opener, but immediately traded by Caillou. Follow up off the flash to start to make its move over towards the B site, and then immediately pulled back as that shear wall had been popped over towards A walls. Rotation back through a tree with the drone. Gomon has stayed very silent, very covered. Help from Vora on the long cross, and TSM have suffocated this approach.
Vora able to swing out just before that smoke bloomed. Perhaps M80 needing to wait just an extra moment for that one to come up over towards Generator into the 2v3. Still winnable, though, for M80.
A little bit of space here as Okeanos. It's going to likely just play this through Arcade. And this is really going to be on Bow here to see what they can find off this cross-through tower. Aftershock out, Okeanos showing a force of presence. Crossfire setup at TSM, very unable to catch this one. Perfect stun. Vora for 3, and a really, really tidy pistol from TSM.
Yeah, just throwing the defuse as well. Get him closer to that Armageddon. And M80, yeah, Oki playing to the win con there, about playing to the win con. They got the double swing off together, but just couldn't connect any bullets to the heads of those TSM players. So strong way to open things up. GMD fighting forward. Vora over at Gen swinging off of him. Looking solid so far on their map pick. Must win or TSM are getting eliminated after a very strong regular season in stage 1. I mean, again, 2 teams that you expect to be going really deep in the upper bracket, and we're in the lower bracket. I mean, haven't been harping on it as much as the craziness of Envy being there, but still, this is another one where you just wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, I mean, and M80 had, I think, a little bit of forgiveness because of the roster swap with Sato coming in with just a couple weeks to play. Took a little bit of getting them used to, I think, playing with the boys and also just setting up the strategies they want, but that recency can still exist here as Sim has found a very good opening first blood. And I like this a lot from TSM. Both the opening 2 rounds at this point, just walking down and forcing M80 to have to play from one side of the map, and then as soon as they get the read, you have them trapped. You know exactly where they're coming from. Nowhere to go here. and it will be a flawless round, and this is going to be a absolutely brutal bonus that TSM is going to be able to pack a punch with.
Yo, this so far, I know this has just been a pistol round and an anti-eco, but that was beyond effortless. Sim is just walking around finding first kills at the moment. He is 2 for 2 on first bloods, and it looks like he's ready to walk at them yet again over at Dish with the Tejo breach setup when we get into this next round.
I'll see if they find contact here again.
Oh, it's just a full north side crunch.
Yep. But Caillou, fault line out. Looks like that has landed, forces TSM to stand their ground. Sim will be the first one to drop. Recoil in trouble as that crunch from Dish is dealt with. That's actually enough for M80 to kind of take pause and say, wait a second, we don't need to force anything over towards B if we know we can get this defense to move around a touch.
Everyone on the north side for would love to grab that rifle, finally does.
My ultimate is ready.
So he gets that Armageddon online. B site is wide open for the taking. TSM taking a bit of a risk, gambling towards A, not going to pay off.
Armageddon clears out B tower, and that will be where M80 will make their home. Wow, spam shots from Command actually tagged on the Caillou. Salvo down, but that's for the default plant spot, not for the one back of sight. The shear wall is also popped over towards tree. Bowser's going to have to hang out by himself for a little bit. He has a razor vine to try to stall things out of touch, and TSM are... I don't even know if they're going to get this like a full-on try. I mean, you have to wait for this long wrap from Guamon to get here, and they just don't have much entry, and this crossfire setup is just so potent.
They've really got nothing to get back in. Would be content at this point with just doing a bit of damage if they can. GMD does get one on the arcade exit. We'll have an opportunity at a second. Weak Caillou trying to retreat over there.
Enemy remaining.
Hey, they'll take it.
Yeah,
4
absolutely.
guns taken away, not too bad.
Andrew able to lose Carry and Phantom. That's really solid, honestly, for TSM. Expected to lose that round. Didn't even look like it was going to come close for a second. So, yeah, really good on the exits. And now we get into our first full gun round. That Armageddon being tossed in early was the only ultimate really even close to being earned at the moment. So this will just be kind of one of those raw vanilla gunfights where let's just see whose game plan is better, not needing the ults.
Enemy remaining.
And it looked like Recoil, yeah, he is going to pick up the Outlaw. Just given the economic situation, feels like there might be a decent amount of light / regen armors to get one-shots on there. 2 players with it. Could have been a third, but Sato wants to go for the Stinger with the heavy armor. Just get in deep off a double satchel play.
Stealth drones exchanging information. There's the satchel play for Sato. He's going to take this up top on A.
Oh, we are going for a silly post-plant setup.
we are.
Sato's in some serious trouble, but if he goes down, it doesn't really matter.
A couple of
It's
attacks
about-
from Simmons. Yeah. Have him down to 7 HP. They eventually do spam him out. But again, this post plant, what can they do to try to hold off TSM from getting the high ground control? There it is, the set for the Molly. Aftershock to help get them back into play. Still being held on to for Caillou just in case he hears another toggle. Bow now through halls. This is a pivotal one. Wins it. No one can hop on for the defuse, but your stall tactics are now essentially null except for the
So
salvo.
stupid.
Golly. This is ridiculous. Now again. Sim spammed out, and again, Bao winning that gunfight at Halls. So pivotal, so many ways to deter this defuse, but M80, wow,
What
that's
happened to the
annoying
game
as
I
hell.
love,
That is
man?
so annoying.
It is so stupid. Fun fact, they stole that from Leviathan, who ran that play on a pistol round in kickoff. That's my little nerd fact of the day, but it is a diabolical strat to be bringing out. You hate to see it. And it's nice they won the round, but you hate to see what Valorant has come to.
Yeah, that is annoying as all get out. It's like one of those, it's like, yeah, this is a perfect third person on this. It's like, you thought you were done, huh? And I again, just going back to it, that 1v1 that Bao wins at Halls right there allows for them to continue to just play off that same post-plant location. So,
Yeah. All right. So,
right.
what?
Hello?
I think there may be an issue temporarily.
This isn't normal, so
Do you want to try to cast this?
No, I don't, because that would mean that we have to talk in slow motion, in reverse, in fast forward.
I think Sato's popping off, though.
I
That's
mean,
what I've gleamed from this. I think he's going off.
I think so too. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure we're just watching the replay operator feed right now. Like, I think this round is live. We're just happy to be watching this from the replay operator feed.
Yeah, I think you're on point. Some
Okay.
damage from Voro. That was a good shot. Doesn't matter. Irrelevant, but a nice shot.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and neither do
Hello?
I. Is this thing on?
Okay. Would you like to see a replay?
Oh, yeah, let's get a oh, wait, okay, so, yep, Sato, he swings, he gets his 2. They clean things up. There we go.
All right, let me take the round.
All right, back in the game. We got the replay. It was only an eco round. We're back in the game.
Oh, showstopper. Up and over. Sato, good for it. Immediately traded, though. Impact relatively low. Orbital strike also a part of that play as recoil finds another. So 4v3. Caillou will spam down with the team. Has now a quick retraction back to the B site, but tower is open for the taking. Good flash. Bao peeking off of it. Yeah, really well done by Bao. And the Razor just to block off another way of entry. 3v2. Tough retake here for TSM, but they do have the Steel Garden if they can find a way to get some space to work with.
That being said, M80 have all 3 ults for all 3 living players at the moment. It's going to be so tough for TSM to even extract any of this recoil. What a peek.
Yeah, Steel Garden does come through. Rolling Thunder cutting across the site. 7. Oof. Yeah, just from this position in Cantina, no way.
That's a wrap. No option but to save. TSM, they are loving going for these north side crunches. That's, what, 2 or 3 times that they've done that already? Just full send. This time using that orbital strike, but just didn't really bear much fruit. And then the rest of M80 just realized over on the south side of the map, we can get into B for free and stuff TSM at the chokes and arcade. Just get that free site. Have all the ults for the post plant.
Okay, so way better for M80. We can say that much than the last time we saw them.
Yeah, it is. It's better than the last time we saw them and they got destroyed. It's a good start.
And if they win this round, they're on cruise control for this first half. So we'll see if TSM can stand tall. They do have Showstopper, Armageddon, and Steel Garden of their own. So pivotal ultimates here for TSM and what is largely a lot of light armors. This comes down to the timing of Bora's peak here. Avoids the fault line from his teammate and turns that into a nice clean double, but does not track down Sato. Showstopper feels like overkill, but it connects, so why not? And it's just down to Bao. So TSM perfect here. Only have to spend, and they really didn't even have to spend it. Like, all they spend is the Showstopper.
Yeah, and at that point, why not, I suppose? Even though you have that advantage with your economy being this low, must-win round, just make sure you can lock it up. Bao alone going to get triple swung, and to wrap on that crucial round for TSM, stay in this first half at a reasonable pace. Off just a good trap setup play. Vor kind of taking contact there with the stun, and then you have Sim just ready to swing off of it as well if he needs to, out from Generator. Simple, but very effective.
So now we get back to even footing in the economy here again. But again, the ultimate advantage starts to build a little bit for TSM. And are they looking to, again, get aggressive through Dish? Last time they tried this, it did not work all that well. This time it's just a small feel out. A little bit of utility coming out of Caillou before eventually backing away. That was just a flash toss towards Arcade. There were no defenders there, though, so they don't really care too much about that.
Interesting. That was Caillou playing north side alone with a spike. Not gonna lie, kind of a risk given how much TSM loved pushing north side. He could have gotten cooked, but yeah, he just sends out one flash, then meets up with the rest of the team on the south side, just trying to make it seem like they want to put a lot of presence toward arcade, but they don't, and TSM have re-cleared it. There's much movement on the map.
I mean, the thing about this, though, I mean, if you really technically talk about it, M80 get what they wanted. They get the defense to be interested in arcade. But now the problem is they're going to be a little bit late to the party, as TSM are very aware that this is actually an A hit. Unless Bao can find one, this would be very difficult to break through. I mean, the Armageddon could be very disastrous here if M80 try to commit through the smoke. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Bao! Just barely able to get alive. Salvo also avoided. Now the retraction back over towards ropes. Recoil holding nicely. Oh, great support over the top, but doesn't make a difference. Bora has to back off. Feltron just trying to stall this. Orbital strike over the top of the site. That actually lands on a 7. Trades are good. M80's still dancing here. 2v2, 13 seconds. You gotta go. Come on, uncovered, unshacked. He will find the final 2.
I'm shocked that it even got that close, I'm gonna be honest. Like you said, they're running into the rotated TSM players over on A, which was a breach, a Tejo, and GMD staring at the smoke with his molly, and they have the Armageddon play into the salvos. My God, it is just a nightmare to try and get out of A main against this comp. But hey, M80 did a pretty good job drawing out the util, repushing sand, decent effort, but that is a tough situation to try to win out, to say the least.
Yeah. I would say appropriate to call the timeout here after 2 very convincing rounds. And again, all that was utilized was just the Armageddon. So we talk about value here for TSM. It's really starting to stack. You still got the Steel Guardian, you still got a Rolling Thunder. That's massive. So yeah, M80 is going to be in a little bit of trouble here with these last couple of rounds remaining, especially considering that their bank is starting to get broken.
Yeah, we might be, I don't want to speak too soon, but we may be approaching the TSM fracture takeover situation.
Yeah,
where they may be a little too good on this map. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. So M80 have been doing a better job than they've done on this map in the past. With some cheese rounds like this.
For real.
The pure cheese.
What did they say? Imitation is the finest form of flattery. A little bit of that.
Yeah, it is a little bit of that. Leviathan should be proud to see them use their little strat and it works.
Well, here we go. Sato is just going to jump on for the plant. Going to put the pressure on TSM to come back to this play quickly. Now, Gamon is still on site, so that is troubling as soon as these sky smokes fade, which is soon. A lot of this post plant's actually in tunnel right now. Steel Guardian to be called in, giving maybe a chance here for M80 to reset. Rolling Thunder also called, and wow. Yeah, that should surely work. Not much delay tactic besides that aftershock. We've got a special delivery from Okeanos. The Armageddon going to be called in, though. Hold on a second. Maybe there is a chance here for M80 to re-wrap on this. 7 already had it to halfway, though, and that will be enough to finish things off. The salvo is there, but a little bit too late, unfortunately, for M80 fans, as TSM will clean things up, find the kills they need, and get their first lead now in a while.
Yeah, seems like they were under the assumption that the spike had knockout and stuck to half. And if that were the case, I think they would have won the round out, but it was. And so salvos were just a little bit too late to deny getting the other half stuck. Suppose M80 will be maybe content enough with getting a couple ultimates out of the TSM side. A tiny consolation in the round loss. And it was just an eco.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like kind of talking about the bonus round. Like, TSM was fine, kind of mitigating and catching losses. Like, it's just one of those things. You're not looking to win those rounds. You're looking to win these rounds. And Sim's going to get caught for the first time over towards A ramp. I mean, we really have not seen this offensive breakdown yet. And here's the interesting thing about it. A lot of noise is about to be made over towards B at the same time. Thing is, 7 is holding an aggressive angle. That's enough to see that there is some sort of a commitment over here towards drop. But Okeanos catching Bora makes this difficult. Caillou also over towards the backside at the north ropes. Isolation is good. We're re-wrapping the spike to B. And 7's in trouble.
Round where M80 are really able to exploit the fact that TSM have been so willing to walk around the map early, take the fight to them. They slow down after getting that first pick over towards A on Sim, and then are able to just cut off all of those TSM flanks, making it look quite easy. An important round for M80 with their economy very low at the moment.
Yeah. So 7 maybe going to check to see if he can catch some exits over towards the north side of this post plant, which he may be able to find 1 or 2. But for M80, I mean, again, just kind of evaluating and like talking the story from map 1 to map 2. I think what they're doing game plan wise has been really solid. I mean, it's not relying or trying to specifically enable one player or another. It's just good team chemistry coming through. And that's, I mean, to be fair, like that's what you expect to see from a Breach Tejo and Ray's combination, right? Like if you're trying to play for individuals off that, you're probably not playing the comp as efficiently as possible.
Yeah.
But again, it's just, you look across the scoreboard and it's a pretty even battle here from, you know, really individuals as well as the teams.
Yeah, definitely. Feels like they've been putting some work into this map for sure. Looking better than we've seen in the past. I mean, yeah, bear in mind, they are 0-3 at the moment on this map in Challengers this year. If they can beat TSM here, it would be their first win on Fracture, period, against a team that's 2-0 on the map.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick. TSM, I think they've learned their lesson from the prior round. They are playing a bit more slow here. They do not want to overpush.
Yeah. Good respect game here. You still have the showstopper for Sim as well, so you want to make sure you can utilize that in case you see pressure, which they deal with the lurker. And look how quickly TSM realized that. If we take care of Bao, the hit's going to be coming the other direction. Showstopper. Sato looking to try to find a way to use it. Probably just going to toss this out blindly towards mid. Not going to connect. Guamon still tucked in the corner towards Hall. And he's going to line up 2, make it 3. The showstopper behind that. Absolutely perfect for the retake. And TSM going to go up 6-5 with 1 to play in the half.
Yeah, it's just a great position from GMD. And M80 feeling the pressure of needing to get in fast. Understanding that anyone playing towards B is gunning it to the A site after they pick off their lurk. And because of that haste they needed to play with, things get a little bit messy. They don't really hard clear that corner, and GMD makes it look all too easy.
Okay. I mean, 7-5 is going to feel like a victory still. I think if we're looking at this from TSM's perspective, and the offensive side of this map has not been as good as their defensive side per se, but they didn't really need to have a defensive side versus Winthrop. And then their defensive side was technically stronger versus M80 way back in round 3 in the beginning of February. So, you know, your playbook is still looking pretty solid for TSM on the offensive side. So if you can get to 7, you're feeling pretty solid about your chances of taking this to 3.
Off your feet! All right, Rolling Thunder coming through from Underpass, fully clear out the site, give M80 access to tower. We're headed to a full 5-on-5 retake. Or perhaps TSM want to flood back in, just send out that orbital strike on Spike Tap.
Well, there it is. You're going to have to sacrifice the life of B-Dog. He's got nowhere to go. Here comes the full flood. A lot of it coming from right in front of Canteen. Bao is in the way of this, trying to spam, not going to connect. Up top at tower, Sato had 1 job, not able to follow up with it. Nice on the special delivery. Armageddon now earned off of that, but chasing him down is Guamon. And now it's just down to Caillou, who's just got too much to deal with. I mean, the idea is good for M80, but the productivity is better from TSM. They just take away the space before M80 have a chance to react.
Yeah, that was really a perfect flood from TSM. Doesn't matter that the spike goes down. They know they're getting that free kill with the stun into the orbital strike. It's way too easy for them. GMD is on fire at the moment. Sitting at the top of the board. Back on map 1, Roy mentioned it on the desk, but TSM, they weren't able to win either pistol round, and the game was still that close.
Yeah.
So maybe they can just cement the lead they're already in with a pistol round win here.
I wouldn't say it's a must-win for M80, but yeah, I think it's one of those, considering the current status of the map, especially with how TSM have put together a large majority of their rounds in a row, 5 of the last 6. You want to just get on the right side of the scoreboard here. But TSM's offense right behind the sonar is going to just make their way up and in towards B. At least that's the attempt. And Sato is stuck inside the razor wire. So he's going to have to hold this sky smoke. Spam shots are coming his way, but none of them are landing. Seven still has the freedom to plant them.
B-Dog in the meantime is able to pick one up. Fighting from stairs, M80, they pushed the south side of the map, hoping to pick off a lurker. Wasn't the case, but on the re-wrap back in, they get one. GMD is miles away.
Still finds one, though. Now the pressure towards tower has to come through. Bow cleaning things up now as it goes up the ropes. Whoa, agile and nimble as ever. Come on, now the last one left. They know he's playing from the defensive spawn, and that's a hell of a pistol round from Bow.
Even just adds on the little one tap at the end. Why not? A little flashy kill. Up the rope. It's pretty sick from Bow. B-Dog finding that opener. Down on stairs as well. Nice retake from M80. I mean, they give up the site essentially for free. They're not playing from arcade, but they get map control elsewhere. And I like that they went very fast as well. Even though GMD gets that kill, they know he's so far away. We just need to fight forward together right now before he can even get back towards the site and support the team.
So now into the anti-eco. And TSM really isn't working with much. A sheriff and a shorty. And you're running right into the waiting arms of Sato with an outlaw. This is the first. Fault line makes life a little bit easier. Yeah, really clean, good help. And that would be a perfect initiation here for M80. Following up by also clearing up the top side of B. And yeah, there's just nowhere to go here for TSM.
That is so free, so easy. Trying to look at the ults here. Nothing is snowballed too crazy, aside from, Bao has gotten relatively close to the Steel Garden, but
yeah,
unlikely that anything can be used to tip the scales in the bonus round for M80. Just going to come down to trying to get in some close angles with these SMGs. Close the distance, or maybe Sato can find another opening with this outlaw.
All right. Let's see what we get here. TSM on what is essentially the full purchase. A couple light armor still in play, actually just one. Looking for a little bit of spam, as there's some pretty heavy focus for M80 to take tree control away. They'll have to track back, though. That means they don't have any B tower control. Salvo to try to stall this out. Sim taking a little bit of damage, but nothing too concerning. Okeanos on site, but unsure if he needs to be watching over towards main or watching towards tower. That molly gives him a little bit of clearance. Sato now working with him, and Okeanos with the stinger going to swap between weapons as the aftershock will push him back. Come on for now 2, make it 3 kills. And just like that, it looked like M80 were going to hold off the play, but Goman gets a free angle from the middle of the map. And now it's just down to Bao.
GMT has been really incredible. Just patient in that smoke. It drops. He finds the 3-piece there. I mean, Bao gets that 1 kill, but should be irrelevant. Maybe I spoke too soon.
Yeah. Ooh, that spam shot was pretty darn close as well. Now getting across here's the tough part.
One enemy
little double peek. Hold on a second.
Ultimate's ready.
Thought about it.
Oh my god.
Thought about it.
That was a pretty insane effort for Bao. He is looking so sharp. A lot of damage dealt. M80 will be content enough with that. Even though it always sucks when you feel like you could have won the bonus and were oh so close, but then you lose and then you have to say, well, good damage. But it is good damage. Definitely going to add up.
Yeah. So now you're into your full purchase. And M80 are going to make the math read and say the outlaw could pack a punch here. So Sato's going to bring that. Steel Garden also a part of the play as we saw Bao earn it in that last round. But Sim has kicked us off with a free first blood into Sato. That angle not going to be owned by the scope. And now Vora's to the door trying to maybe break down the display at tower, but stepping through. How about that from B-Dog? Caillou trying to deal with it while also playing a separate angle, but not quite. So now B-Dog's by himself. Good smoke. Does he see the coverage inside of it? Oh, they're right next to each other. It's messy, it's sloppy, and it's recoil into a 2v2.
How's the Steel Garden, though? When that spike goes down, knows that he can rip that, at least get the gun out of one player's hands for free.
Oh.
Spike down, B.
Make it a little bit easier now. Nice little snap from the M80 players. Has recoil by himself, trying to take a wide angle. Not going to happen. And how about Bao and Okeanos holding on to the site from mid? And now we're tied at 8, and the economy is going to flip up a touch here with TSM not able to secure a plant.
It really gets disjointed in that 2v2 for TSM. GMD pushing out of the smoke alone. Recoil trying to cover the flank in tower. Falls apart. M80 take advantage of that mistake just by doubling up. Better fundamentals in that situation. They're taking control of the game now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, of course it's tied, but I mean, you know, control the game and the fact that they're in the economic lead now.
And the ultimate economy is also going to start to even things up a touch, but again, being able to match and having a general financial bonus is going to feel really solid for M80. TSM, can you create much havoc here, though, in this thrifty round? 2 sheriffs, so look to see what Sim and Recoil want to do in terms of routes. Recoil is the one on the island, so he's just trying to give himself a chance, whereas Sim is the one kind of leading the action forward. He's also one off a showstopper, which could be key. But so far, it's just going to be a walk-on.
No more thorns.
Now Sim will drop.
Get that first trade from the missiles.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of space here for TSM to work with. Good flash, though. Wow, that helps out for Gawon to at least be able to make this more interesting. But the problem is 7 still doesn't have a weapon. He's trying to get to one, though. Picks up the rifle, but caught changing weapons. It's Caillou for 4. And another one of those moments, you kind of let it sit in the back of your head. M80 in a couple of different rounds, both here and in the prior map. 3, 4 kills coming out from individuals, and it's led to some hero moments when things start to get tight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of all the players to pick up a 4K on the anti-eco, you're happy to throw that to Caillou. He was the only one that was far away from an ult for M80. Now they pretty much fully caught up to TSM. Both teams on the cusp of having all 5 ults heading into this pivotal round, which would be worth 2 for M80 if they can get the win here. TSM's economy very low. Sato locking down A with the AWP.
Yeah, this is a very important round here for TSM. A lot of tools either earned or about to be earned. Everyone who doesn't have an ultimate earned up is 1 away from having one.
You could see off Sato's contact here as well. M80, they're ready to just fault line into the missiles the second he takes a shot.
There's the Armageddon orbital strike combination. Oh my goodness. Wow. How do you deal with that? Like,
I mean, you're just not playing Valorant. You're just getting deep fried, man. You're not even playing the game. Okay, round over in a flash. No money for TSM. M80 are looking pretty good.
I mean, I don't have the words, Wyatt.
You can't do anything. You just can't play. Oh, contact? All right, bet. They're stunned. If they go forward, Armageddon. If they go backwards, orbital strike.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you go forwards, you got operator. Like, it's just unreal.
What can you do? And then to watch their back as well, they had the shear over at drop with a razor vine next to it. So you can't even get through to try and pinch onto these players while this is happening. I mean, Sim does because he can double satchel with the rocket, but at this point, can't say that's particularly relevant.
Oof.
Yeah, good time for a TSM timeout.
Yeah.
You need that after a BS round like that.
I mean, I think the thing about this timeout, though, Wyatt, like you mentioned, is you figure because of the limited amount of purchase that can come through, TSM are going to have to likely forfeit this round. Or you're not really thinking about this round, but the thing about it is you know what you're going to do in the round after that when you've got every single one of your ultimates ready. So I think you have to be discussing how do we make this round come to life as a potential thrifty. And they're going to call on Sim to pull out a Hero Vandal. You got Cherish or everybody else, and this is going to be as simple as hit your shots, kid.
They want to go. They just want to get Sim over into A main. Temporarily held back by some missiles that were sent out from Okeanos.
Drone going up.
And the thing about this is M80 are going to be playing counter ultimate positions pretty much from here on out until you start to see things like the Rolling Thunder come through. Yeah, an attempt was made to try to clear out space here at ropes. But Okeanos primed and ready for it, takes down 2. And, well, we tried for a little switch up there. Not bad to find a couple of eliminations, but there's nowhere for Gamal to go. So, okay, a couple of repurchases, but all things told, that's not really an issue for M80. But this right here is the game. TSM better have something ready to go for us here.
Absolutely. And Caillou there, getting a kill, going down, doesn't matter either way. He's able to get the Rolling Thunder up, so have that mirror match with ultimates now. First shots from Okeanos. He's been having a really great year so far with M80, whether he's playing Initiator, whether he's running the Double Duelist. Having a great 2025.
Oh, man. Not what you want. Absolutely not what you want right there. To especially lose recoil. So no Steel Garden. M80 owned this angle. Steltron has already cleared everything out towards the bottom side of the map. And now you have to hope and pray that you can find information for 7 to connect onto a Rolling Thunder. Maybe you can combine it with the Orbital Strike and Armageddon to get this round back into grips.
Has to be worried about the flank, which Okeanos has pushed through now, exploiting the fact that recoil is dead. He can just walk right past where that wall, the trip used to be. TSM have so much to be worried about at the moment. As far as the positioning.
Rolling Thunder doesn't really connect onto anybody. Sky Smokes are down. Orbital Strike will clear out space at mid. Everyone alive still. Showstopper on the back. Wait, Okeanos. How does he find that Elim? 7 drops. And now you got the defensive Rolling Thunder. This could possibly be the game-winning play right here. TSM are stuck on site. They're surviving. The Armageddon's going to give him a little bit of space, and maybe it finds elimination. But B-Dog, no, he finds Elim first. Caillou through Canteen, cleans it up. And now TSM are 1 foot out the door. Need a miracle.
It's just that initial confidence from Sato. Not having a phenomenal game, but it didn't slow him down. He still just pushes through the Razor Vine to kill recoil. All of a sudden, that trip watching the south side is gone. Okeanos slowly pushes through, kills 7, who was holding the spike over at B main. It is crumbling for TSM. Who so far this year, again, they haven't lost on Fracture yet. M80 haven't won on this map yet. And now TSM, who had a great season in stage 1 prior to playoffs, on the verge of going out in the lower bracket.
Well, here we go. A little quick hit from M80, a little heat check out of him. Oh, just a firing line here as TSM have to try to take this fight. There's just nowhere for them to go. Yeah, there's just nowhere to go. Oh, not like this. This TSM squad put up a hell of a fight. Not just through groups, but also in the playoffs. Never a moment that didn't feel like they were a top contender, but luck doesn't quite go your way. You find yourself on the other side of a very hot M80 team that has really done a nice job over the last couple of weeks to get Sato included and incorporated to their roster. And TSM will find themselves out at the same position. This is wild to say out loud. I can't wait to say this. The same position as Envy, and it's top 6. Like, how? How did that just happen?
It simply makes no sense. it just does not make any sense that the number 1 team and the number 2 team have gone out today in the lower bracket. It is so insane. But I love watching this M80 squad, I have to say.
Too.
Still, just having brought in Sato, not having much practice, you can see the potential that these guys have. Really excellent showing today. Super impressed, especially that they were able to turn their Fracture around.
Oh, big time. From, again, 1-13 loss. Didn't see any of that today. Tell you what, that's a quick turnaround. Turnaround.
So much better.
M80 is looking dangerous. They're going to move on. They're going to have to wait to figure out who exactly they play. Actually, no, they're going to play Hubert Academy next. So, whoa, that's tomorrow. Sheesh. Winners
crazy.
finals followed up by that. Yikes. Tomorrow's going to be a fun one. But don't go anywhere. We're going to head off to a brief break, bring the desk back to give us the final thoughts on the day, and we'll be back for more tomorrow. See you in a minute.
Doesn't really need to do much work though. Now that that's toxic, Corona doing a good job of holding it down on site. Challengers is reinvaded towards that operator. He is looking good as ever. You don't need to do that, dude. You don't. You have 4 players on your team.
A series we thought was going to go the distance, and M80 said absolutely no way. They're going to take the win on Fracture and therefore be moving along one more step in our lower finals after a 2-0 victory. I mean, Dan, going into this, it was a pretty tough loss M80 had to bounce back from, but they made it look easy.
That was really nice, actually, for M80. The casters were talking about it. The way that they recovered on a map that looked like it was just cooked. Like nothing was going to work after we saw that 13-1 on that last week. So it's a good recovery from them. I liked the little things that they were bringing, especially into that first half. But I think it was towards the end, grabbing some momentum to close it out because it was 7-7, 8-8. You really didn't know if TSM was going to take the advantage at some point and be able to hold on to it. But it was M80 on the other side who grabbed it. So it's nice to see. This is the M80 that we've been wanting to watch since the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
it
it really does feel like TSM might have been baited by M80's last performance on this map because the way M80 looked like today was insane. They're very drilled. They had really sick trap setups towards the A main. They had clear ideas of how to work the map, and I think most importantly, they had ways to like manipulate the meta by having the Rays opting towards B site instead of having the Brimstone constantly jiggling from Canteen. Overall, I really do feel like M80 came extremely prepped for this map, and the fact that TSM won a pistol and M80 still looks so dominant is a statement in itself that M80 is most definitely out for revenge and they're out for blood.
And as soon as they started really showing that discipline, it was tough for TSM to contend again. And even looking near like the tail end of that match, it kind of just seemed like it was M80 all the way. They could do no wrong. Dan was even over on the desk trying to caster curse it a little bit just for fun, right? But like M80 looked infallible at that point.
I mean, look, I'm happy with the result that we got for M80. I think if they were gonna win, this is what we need to see from teams. Sure, it's not, you know, like the 13-1 that happened to them. It's not a 13-6, a 13-8 on the second map. And moving forward in this lower bracket, you need to close out these series as fast as you can, give it the least amount of info as well on the other side. So there's a lot of things that played into how M80 have been playing, and I'm happy with what they did. I feel like they were able to adapt. They had the time to recover. And this is something that we mentioned at the beginning of the day as well. The coaching staff, the staff that M80 has, I feel like it's a big part of why we're seeing these cool set plays. Sado as well, that is waking up, that is playing really nice, that's getting a lot of first kills. I think he ends up today with 10 first kills. So more and more every time with the support that everybody's giving this guy and everybody else.
It's really nice to see, especially at this point in playoffs when it is the slower bracket, when, well, the one series lost and that's elimination. To be able to see everything come together has definitely been a treat. And speaking of treats, we have none other than Sato on the line for the post-match interview. So let's head over to that, hear a couple of words. Hello, welcome to North America. Welcome to just this win. Sato, how are you doing?
Thank you. It's been pretty good. I mean, it's good to finally be here. I had some visa issues. I had like a doppelganger playing in my place until now, but I'm here.
I'll get to the series in a minute, but I first want to ask about the adjustment, especially to coming onto a team so late in the season, having to then also move and everything else. Like, how has that whole process been for you?
Yeah, it's been pretty fun. difficult as well. You know, moving around. This is actually not the place where I first moved in. I had to move in yesterday, and I feel like the visa issues kind of slowed us down. But I feel like now we're in a good way to win this tournament.
Even just moving stuff as of yesterday, that's incredible then to should be able to show up so big, especially at such a late point in the playoffs. And I want to know too, I mean, you popped off during Ascension. We have been so excited for you to play in North America. And of course, you're the star duelist the team's been waiting for. Did you feel any pressure then coming on to this team with so much expectations of your arrival?
Yeah, I feel like it's normal to feel that kind of pressure, especially because I'm an import from another region, and there's a lot of eyes on me, especially from people that are from Brazil. But I feel like my team is a really nice place to be at. Like everyone's really nice to me, and they've been giving me like full support, and I think that's the reason why we are able to display such a good match today.
Glad to hear that it's just a great support system all around. And let's talk about this series. So it's a 2-0 victory. I want to talk about this map of Fracture because last time you guys played it, it was a very different result. And it was a little worrying when we saw the map veto. So I want to know the biggest turnaround then going into today to get a pretty strong win.
I feel like the past Fracture that we played against Shopify didn't really show anything about us in that particular map. I feel like we entered that match feeling kind of cold, and 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 it basically showed that uh, we cannot play if we're not locked in, if we're not ready. And we talked a lot. There was a lot of discussion around that, but for today's match, we all came concentrated and focused, and we're not gonna let that happen again.
I'm glad to hear. And I want to talk about how you're feeling then for tomorrow's match because still a lot of Valorant. You're up against Qbert Academy, one of the best teams that we have. How are you feeling going into that?
I'm feeling very confident. I feel like with this team, every single match is a learning opportunity, and we keep growing and growing every time we play. So I feel like tomorrow is going to be even better.
Looking forward to it. I'll make sure you get some rest before the big match tomorrow. Sato, congrats on the win. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so helpful. I love to hear the support system for the team. It was something that the other players have talked about. Like, yeah, we want to get him integrated support, and to hear that support from Sato himself, Roy, is really nice.
Yeah, I think I think he's talking about support on so many different layers, right? Support in terms of like outside of game stuff, inside of game stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of like accommodations that he's probably needed, obviously being here solo. So I'm really happy, but I'm not surprised to see that level of support coming in from an organization like M80. But it's really nice to hear from him. He's very well spoken, and I'm excited to see their growth that he's talking about.
Yeah, really, really sweet interview as well. And I think it's crazy because you see his luggage in the back. Just like, he said he moved in yesterday.
Bro,
what do you
moved in.
mean? Oh my God. That is just some of the things that players that move into the US have to deal with, moving out, adapting to a completely new system, to new teammates, to a new language, like so many things. And on top of that, he's moving now. He said that he moved in twice and he's performing like that and he's winning these matches. Like it's great to see Sato here.
He's really just had the cards stacked against him at every point in the road, and still being able to show up, still being able to put on a performance on like any duelist has been really, really nice. So I'm excited to then see tomorrow, if considering he just moved yesterday. So yeah, had to be quick, let him go get his rest. But talking about the matches tomorrow, I cannot wait. Hearing too the power level that M80 talks about, and that fact that could be higher, they still have more to prove. Ooh, that is so exciting. So we get to see that conclude, as we'll get to see our first lower final finalists as well. Roy will be taking a journey back up to the upper bracket as Shopify Rebellion Black could go up against the ultimate underdog in Winthrop University.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of things to prove, I mean, Winthrop University has defeated some of the best teams in this league pretty handedly, and now they're trying to do it again. If they can defeat Shopify Rebellion Black, they would have officially done the trifecta of defeating these teams. And ultimately, if they do it, then there's really no more doubt and no more questions about their validity as a top team in this league.
And at this point, there should be no questions, right? Because how many teams do they have to win against? I mean, essentially every single one. That's why they're the Team 1 of Tier 2, guys.
Oh, yeah.
But that's tomorrow is going to be so good because now we're down to these 4 teams that Shopify Rebellion Black. We knew that they were going to perform pretty good. We didn't really know if it was going to be through the upper bracket. Winthrop University, I feel like, continues to be, as we just talked about, that surprise. And then Qbert and M80, a couple people surprised that Envy lost today against Qbert Academy. So there's, no matter what, it feels like in one way or another, we're going to see these crazy like fan bases and upsets. No matter what way it goes, I feel like at this point, so many people are on the side of Winthrop of, okay, they won a few matches. Now I'm bored. I want to see if they make it to the grand finals, if they're the first team to make it to the grand finals and playoffs. Now, will they do it? I mean, who knows?
The fact that there's a chance, considering how late they qualified into everything, just the most props to this team and everyone else. But how much all of these teams have scaled up throughout the playoffs has been so exciting. So I cannot wait to get into tomorrow's matches. But unfortunately, that is it from us today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Production for crushing it. You too as well. And the casters. Make sure to come back for tomorrow for some absolutely amazing matches. And good luck in your ranked games. Until then, we'll see you.
See what we get as the execute towards A is underway. Paranoias will exchange hands, and Game Zero once again falls for first blood. Huge first for Qbert's defense.
They've rotated here so fast, but still the superior weaponry is probably going to come out on top.
Another triple stack up high. Yeah, nice from Ion. Just clicking heads as soon as they pop over the crest of the ramp, leaving Redux by himself. And he is a tough choice to make here. Can't quite lock on to Exter's head over.
It's hilarious how long T-Dog was just waiting on me. He knew Inspire was there the whole time. But it just didn't matter. I mean, he only was like a sheriff, I think, but it is just so funny, yet I know how frustrating that must be to feel like this guy is seriously still behind us. He's still...
Ion will just back up, allow this start cover to try to give some separation to Kane, but no, he's been affected by the fault line, and he will be, whoa, that should be dealt with. Not yet. Double tap's gonna get reset, finds that. Can't snap the link, you get the shield back again, but it doesn't make a difference! Whoa, Kane's there! Aftershock across, Doc Dart's there as well. Ton of flooders, but Kane's there, does take down one, decoy else the way in. Whoa, Redux through the smoke, able to connect, and how about the follow-up, just spamming it down. You can try to push forward, you can try to take our weapons, but we're right here, we're not gonna let you do that.
I love that from T-Dog. The second that Stinger was dasher onto Ion, Exter wants to get in support with a flash.
Ion's in trouble though, he does stay alive behind this Aftershock. Salvo to try to clear the site, but honestly, that doesn't really land maybe where it's fully intended to. Doesn't make a difference though. The player's stuck on site. Still have to hold and fight back, and now it's just down to Exter from inside. Inspire's rotating over. Scuba though up top. There's the edge, and now it's just down to Inspire. 1v3 situation, and they know exactly where he's at. The kill's there. The crossfire setup is perfect. No stopper. Sato looking to try to find a way to use it. Probably just going to toss this out blindly towards mid. Not going to connect. Lamon's still tucked in the corner towards Paul. And he's going to line up two. Make it three. The showstopper behind that. Absolutely perfect for the
stage one prior to playoffs. On the verge of going out in the lower bracket.
Well, here we go. A little quick hit from M80. A little heat check out of him. Oh, just a firing line here as TSM have to try to take this fight. There's just nowhere for them to go. Yeah, there's just nowhere to go. Oh, not like this. This TSM squad put up a hell of a fight. See what we get